Hi, friends. I'm Lauren.
And I'm Katie, and welcome to Okay, But Did You Know? A podcast where we talk about our favorite media with a friend who's never seen it before.
This week, rather than talking about a specific show or episodes in our main series, we are going to talk a little bit about current media consumption trends. I don't know why I phrased it that way. We're going to cover topics like the length of seasons on TV these days, appointment viewing versus how streaming services drop the whole season at once, and how our culture around media has changed due to the shifts in these trends. I think the main thing that really I wanted to, is why I texted you about this topic was just like, let's talk about like how the viewing experience changes between appointment viewing where like you sit and you at the same time every week and you watch the shows versus getting the whole season at one go. It does change the experience because it also, I feel like the shows are written for different styles of viewing. If that makes sense.
It's the amount of time you're able to spend on it. I feel like we used to get so many filler episodes. We used to get a lot more with appointment viewing, like because you had to sit down every week and it took this long to get through the show because some things are still appointment viewing, just not everything now. And we used to get over 20 episodes. Now we're lucky if we get 6.
Yeah,
like it's changed storytelling.
No, it definitely has, because I say this a lot about Once Upon a Time, and like I can't say I would prefer appointment viewing over full season drops. I think it just depends on the show and how it's written. I'm firm in my stance that Once Upon a Time was not designed to be binged. It's because it literally wasn't. It was designed for people to sit down on Sundays at 8:00 and watch it then, and there to be spans of time between each episode, so you have time to kind of take in all of the world building. When you sit and you binge these episodes, it becomes abundantly clear that like they may not have necessarily figured out the timing of things. Because like the example that I give a lot is there's a couple of episodes, or there's a few episodes in season 4 that I did the math. It's like it's 4 or 5 episodes ish, so you're watching it over the course of like a month and a half.
Yeah.
I did the math. It's only like 3 days.
That's crazy.
Because like that's the way, like, because everything in Once Upon a Time, like one happens one right after the other unless kind of otherwise stated. And it's harder to recognize that, so you still get just as invested in the characters over the course of 5 weeks. So those 3 days seem like a longer amount of time. But when you're binging it, you're just like, oh, she was here and now she's gone. That wasn't enough time to care about her. In our space, it was a month and a half.
I'm sorry. My brain is immediately just thinking the same exact thing, so I'm not going to repeat back to you what you just said to me because it's the same thing. But like we are able to have, of course, you said more time with these people, but like the way binging is now, we very much are like, okay, here's an entire season, watch the whole thing, and then you're just kind of left with like, okay, how did I feel about that? It's more of an experience with appointment viewing because while Bob's Burgers is bingeable.
Yes.
Love binging it. You can sit and watch it for hours and it's very pleasing. There's also, 14 seasons in a movie, so there's plenty of it to binge as well.
That's true.
But it's funny though, because while the new seasons are coming out, we are appointment viewing it. We watch it the next day on Hulu and are able to see it new. So it's kind of like you're stuck with this whole like situation of like, which one do I do?
Yeah, well, because at this point, it depends so much on, it's what the networks are ordering, whether they're ordering like these streaming like schedules or they're ordering, what we're seeing on mainstream TV. And I'll admit, I don't watch a whole lot of what's on TV currently right now. I'm watching mostly stuff that's been off for a while, or if I am watching something, I'll admit it is a streaming show just because that's what I see a lot of being promoted towards me. My experience watching Once Upon a Time, definitely shifted because for most of the show, I did watch it 1 week at a time as it was viewing, but I did binge those first 17 episodes. And like, I latched onto certain characters really quickly because I watched it in such a congested amount of time, like within the course of a week, I watched 17 episodes of a show that isn't meant to be binged. Like I said, it's a show that like you're supposed to take time and take in all these characters and, develop relationships with them over the course of weeks and weeks and weeks, not days.
Yeah.
And it definitely shifted. I can't say it shifted how I experienced the show going forward, because going forward, I was still just as invested because I was in the RP fandom. So that was almost like binging it, even though I wasn't, because we were all overanalyzing everything every week.
Well, it's interesting too though, because I've seen people talk about how now where we are right now in time, people are going back and watching the older shows, the shows that have more
Hmm.
episodes. Like they're bingeable, like they can sit down and binge them if they want to, but they're going back to the older media as well. And I think
Yeah.
that speaks to how a lot of the media has changed because we do have a lot of shows now that you're lucky to get 6 episodes.
Hmm.
Best example I have, we just finished Knuckles on Paramount.
Hmm.
And it was a show. It felt like a long movie. It did, which I think was the point because it's only 6
Yeah.
episodes. That's all they give you
Hmm.
for the entire storyline. A lot of it was not needed, but they made choices. It was I don't know how to describe that Knuckles. It was a fever dream.
Yeah, that's understandable.
There's an entire episode that's just a rock opera, but like
Okay,
low budget rock opera.
gotcha.
And you don't expect that when you watch the trailer. And so, but with that, we were able to watch it pretty much in one sitting.
Yeah.
But I feel like
Like,
something like that is very different, though, from like Has Been Hotel.
well, so I was saying, Hazbin Hotel, like that's another one that you can watch in one sitting. The runtime of
Mm-hmm.
it is just under 3 hours. It's basically a long movie at that point. And it's structured, and I stand by my thing of it's structured like a stage musical.
Yeah.
So I think watching it all in one sitting works perfectly fine at the end of the day. Versus Hell of a Boss, the other show in that same
Mm-hmm.
universe, I don't see that as quite as bingeable. I would put that in the bingeable category of like Bob's Burgers because while everything is interconnecting on the back end in Hell of a Boss, it's not apparent. Each one does feel more episodic, if anything
It
else.
does.
So that one's bingeable in a different way, not because it's one cohesive story, but because the episodes don't. You don't need
Mm-hmm.
time to take in all the world building, all the other things. It's actually I feel like the story becomes the story of Hell of a Boss becomes clearer if you do watch them all at once. But
Yeah.
I don't think it's necessary. Versus, I mean, you don't have to watch Hazbin Hotel all at once, but like I think it's a better
It's
experience
really
that way.
hard not to. How do you start Has Been Hotel and not finish it in the same day?
Exactly. It's well in my defense, the first day I watched it, we only had 6 episodes. I had to wait like a week.
Oh, you did?
I started watching it before the last 2 episodes were released, so I had to wait a couple days. To be fair, a
Yeah.
couple of days compared to the fandom waiting 5 years. I mean, I'm not one to complain.
Yeah, where I seem to be that person too that's like late to the fandom because I didn't start
Yeah.
watching Bob's Burgers until 2016. And there's
Mhm.
so many people who have been watching it, the weekly watching every week from the beginning. And I'm like, I came in at 2016 and now here I am obsessed. And now I watch every week.
Yes,
Well, I'd say every week, but we don't have a lot of episodes right now.
most weeks.
Most weeks. No, I wish I could watch Bob's live, but there's just no way. So I'm really grateful to Hulu for having it next day viewing because there's no way I could stay up no. My bedtime
No,
is
it's
10. I know it
super
comes on at
helpful.
like 9.
Hmm.
My
No,
mind
having
is
Hulu be
elsewhere.
able to do that is It's super helpful at the end of the day. But I have something I never fully understand about fandoms in general
Mhm.
because people are weird is gatekeeping over how much of something you've seen.
Yeah, I don't understand gatekeeping within fandoms.
I mean, I understand it at all. I do understand there's a point where like we might be talking about something that you haven't seen yet, so
Mhm.
like be wary. But like,
I don't feel like spoilers counts with gatekeeping. Like if you're trying not to spoil something for someone, that's very much like, okay, I'm trying to protect you from spoilers, like not gatekeeping.
no, exactly, no, exactly. That's with like my bad impression voiceover clips. I'll
Mhm.
always put the episode code on the screen. Whether people read it or not is their own problem because I would say about 80% of the time, if a video goes wide, I always get a comment of like, "What episode is this?" It literally says it on the screen, but not everyone knows what
Yeah.
that means. I'll give people the benefit of the doubt. They don't know that when I say like a number X, a 2-digit number, that's the season and the episode. Not everyone knows that,
Mhm.
but like helping people avoid spoilers and not gatekeeping the issues. Some people do take that as gatekeeping, and I'm like, you just don't have basic comprehension of we just don't want to spoil this for you. But I mean, to be fair, I've seen all but the last 2 episodes of season 4 so far. Would you consider me a fan of Bob's Burgers at this point?
At this point, yes, especially since you're about to
Okay.
like really get into it because a lot of like
Mhm.
the favorite episodes and when Bob's really starts hitting its pattern and it's like I don't know the
Mhm.
word I'm trying to find here. It hits its stride, I feel,
Yeah.
going from
Mhm.
forward from these last 2 episodes. Like you really start to get the feel of it.
Mhm.
I know that sounds weird saying at the end of 4 seasons, but like I've said before, the first 2 seasons are really short.
Yeah.
These are 3 and 4 is where you really get to know these characters more so than anything else.
No, exactly.
But I think you are, because you
Okay.
have favorite characters. You have characters you
I do.
dislike.
Hmm.
You are now sending me memes of Bronconius
I
and
am
horses.
Bob Cephala.
Bob Cephala. That's the one I was trying to figure out. So it's definitely it's a time, and you have your
Yeah.
first 2-parter next. So
I'm excited.
if you're not a fan after the 2-parter, then I don't believe you. Which I love
That's
2-parters
fair.
too. Like I feel
Hmm.
like we don't have that anymore all that much outside of cartoons, I feel.
Hmm.
Because the only shows I can think of that kind of go long now are like medical dramas, cop dramas, stuff like that is the only thing that seems to be getting a lot of attention anymore.
Yeah.
Every other
Hmm.
type of show is mostly on streaming now.
Yeah, pretty much. That's like I said, I don't really watch anything that's on live TV anymore. If it's not
Mm-mm.
also on a streaming service, like I realize like a lot of stuff it's on ABC, but it's also on Hulu. Or it's on CBS, but also on Paramount, stuff like that.
Oh, I can't think of anything that's like, because like I say binging. We're watching through Shameless right now, and we're on the last
Hmm.
2 seasons of that because it's only 8 episodes. No, 12 episodes per season, but each episode's like an hour long.
Hmm.
So Shameless, I feel, is like one of those ones, but that wasn't network. That was, I think, Showtime.
No, that was Showtime. Yeah.
Showtime did that. So of course, that was the thing too. We had when we were younger. You didn't pay extra for your streaming services. You paid extra for Showtime, HBO, all these things. You couldn't just get it
Hmm.
on a stream. Like you had to like actually still have that channel, go watch it at that
Yep.
time. That's not the same now. Now if something comes out on HBO, Amazon, Apple, you can just go and watch it.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I will say is different than when streaming services like Netflix will drop the whole season all at once, like Baby
Mm-hmm.
Reindeer that just came out. I haven't started watching it yet, or I started the first episode. I have to go back. That whole thing is all dropped at once because the whole thing is pretty much like one true. It is one true crime podcast in
Yeah.
TV form because it's the man who's starring wrote and directed it. It's his story.
Really?
That whole season, yeah, that's his story
I've
of
been
him being stalked.
I keep seeing it. I've been interested because of course
Yeah,
all of Shameless is on Netflix right now. So that's what we watch
yeah.
through. So I'm always logging into Netflix and seeing all the different things
Hmm.
coming out. And I'm like, there's not enough time for the amount of TV that comes out now.
That's true. There isn't. But that's different. Dropping the whole season like that is different than because
Mm-hmm.
that again that one's in the Has Been Hotel thing of like it's really one cohesive story in that one season versus like stuff that's on HBO right now, like so stuff that's on like Game of Thrones spin off the House of the Dragon series
Yeah.
that is on that is released every Sunday at 9 on HBO. It's also released on Max at the same time, but it's being released the same time every week. Like Disney, I think, figured out what they wanted to do with that kind of release schedule because they were somewhere in between. Some things were getting released
Yeah.
all at once, but then stuff like The Mandalorian, because they had a feeling people were going to like start a free trial, watch the season, then cancel, so they didn't have to pay for it. They would do
Mm-hmm.
like the one episode a week thing, but they were releasing them at midnight on the West Coast. It was 3 a.m. on the East Coast, so everyone forgot that it was released that day until like 3 days later.
Oh
So
yeah.
you're losing all of those like first day rating things. So at least with Percy Jackson, I noticed they were releasing those Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever day they were at 9 p.m. Eastern
Mm-hmm.
every week. So it's still a little bit of that appointment viewing, but you don't have to catch it exactly at 8 o'clock. Like our generation, I mean, I'll admit I was very fortunate. We had a DVR and a TiVo for
Oh,
a lot of my child. For
I
like
did
at least I would
not.
say like at least like once I was like in like my teens, my mom always had a DVR. So we had that. So I had the benefit of if I wasn't home on Sundays to watch Once Upon a Time exactly, I could still watch it that day.
Mm-hmm.
But to be fair, back then that was still in the Hulu is free kind of thing. So
Yeah.
you could watch it for free the next day. I think ABC.com had the most recent 5 episodes
Wow.
until
Okay.
the whole season. And if you missed that, you had to wait until it was on Netflix, which usually happened around September or August, right before the new season started.
Man.
Yeah, I was, I mean, I will admit, I have all 7 seasons of that on TVD. They came out around the same time, I think, or on Netflix. I would say those always came out around August because I feel like they always came out around when I used to go on vacation before school started.
Mm-hmm.
But I would always make sure I got those. And now it's very fortunate because I need them because the next episode we record for Once Upon a Time has audio commentary.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, I think it's Adam, Eddie, and Bobby. Really good time.
How are you feeling though about how the length of things has changed to like at this point?
I feel like there's no level of consistency with it,
Mm-hmm.
which is it makes it harder to decide whether you want to watch a show, whether you want to invest in a show, because I feel like there used to be kind of this like not I mean there wasn't a specific industry standard, but there was an expectation that for for your cable network or your just regular TV shows, for comedy shows, they're most likely around 21 to 22 minutes each.
Yep.
Versus your drama shows are usually about 42 minutes each, or like the whole hour when it comes to airing, but the 42-minute episodes. So you could kind of decide if you thought it was something that was worth your energy to invest in. Versus now, I feel like there is no standard. Some like out of nowhere, a comedy show could have an hour and a half long episode for no particular reason,
Which is wild.
And with that throughout the seasons, the episodes can all be very like various different lengths. Like most shows, I feel like do stick to the same length more or less, but there's no time constraint anymore of a time slot
Yeah.
they have to edit towards. Like Once Upon a Time, again, those, and I'm just using that as our example because that's what I have here. Those episodes are within 30 seconds of 42 minutes, every single episode.
Yeah, now you
Because
can
they have
have
to.
seasons that have, let's say, 10 episodes, but one episode's an hour and a half, another one's 45 minutes long, and then and then the rest of the season will be like 30 minutes
Yeah.
each. And it's just like, I can't sit down and just be like, yeah, let's start a brand new show, but the first episode's an hour and a half long. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not doing that.
It's not.
And then everything's
possible.
so oversaturated too. I am old. There are too many shows. There's too many.
There are, but especially within the same things. There's too many Marvel shows. There's too many
Yes.
Star Wars things. I do stand by. It's impossible. Once you fall off,
Mm-hmm.
it's so hard to figure out where to pick up again. Because I love this line from The Big Bang Theory when he was Sheldon was insisting that he was only going to watch, I think it was the Clone Wars movie after the Clone Wars TV show, because his line was, "I would rather George Lucas disappoint me in the order he intended."
Exactly. But like with Marvel, oh my God. So
There's so
Marvel is a
many.
great example because God, don't ask me when the first Iron Man came out, but I was in like middle school. And that's
I
where
can
it really, figure out the year for me. Because I want to say I was in middle school, but that's when the MCU kicked off.
Iron
And
Man 1 came out. I have a year. Give me a month. Came out May 2nd, 2008. So I was in middle school.
literally that was that was the like end of my 8th grade year. So
Yeah, into 7th grade for me.
right before I went into high school. And we were obsessed. We watched Iron Man. I remember getting it on DVD, but it was like, and then at that point, due to I think the CGI level and different things going on and how they started off their plan, because of course they started off slowly because you had Iron Man, you had Thor, we already had some Hulk movies that they kind of, technically they're in the MCU, but like they're not the same character. They're someone else. And that's where that slowly picked up. And then you had Avengers and like it slowly picked up. And then out of nowhere, it's like, I swear we had 3-4 movies a year.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was even past Endgame.
Yeah, I think someone did the math. The runtime of all of the content that was in Marvel Phase 4, which by then started to include some TV shows, the runtime of all of the Phase 4 content was longer than Phases 1, 2, and 3 combined.
Yes. And it became a lot because you can watch all of the first phase pretty much, like, or the first, how do they word it? Because you have your Phase 1 through 4, but then like that to Thanos is like Endgame.
Yeah.
There. They had so many
like
TV
the Infinity
shows.
Saga?
The Infinity Saga. Thank you. Can you tell how long it's been since I've actually like delved into some Marvel? Because it used to be our favorite thing. My husband and I met. Our first date was literally going to see Captain Marvel because that's my favorite character. And even from then, we made sure we were in theaters almost every single time a Marvel movie came out. But then even before that, within the Infinity Saga, you had other shows, but you did not need to watch those shows to be able to enjoy the movies. You did not have to. Was it a fun like background thing that you could watch and go, oh, these are happening at the same time? Yes, but they are not required viewing to know what is going on within the Infinity Saga. Fast forward to now, the phase we are in now. Oh my God. There are so many shows. There are lackluster movies. They're kicking them out there's no tomorrow, and the quality is lacking. Now, I say that
absolutely.
I love the Marvels, but favorite character, But to watch the Marvels, you also have had to watch Miss Marvel and WandaVision to have
Mm-hmm.
understand the characters within that movie. So now they've added
Yep.
in you have to watch these TV shows to be able to understand what's happening in these movies. Oh, but you have to make sure you watch them Loki season 1 here, She-Hulk here, WandaVision here. Oh, but wait till after you watch this movie to go watch Loki season 2. Like, it's too much. They dropped
It's
Echo, and I was like, what the hell is that?
what is this? It's giving. Have you heard that there are two books in the Throne of Glass series that most people say should be read in tandem? Like you basically have to alternate every other chapter.
You're kidding me.
It's giving that. Like
Mm-mm.
you have to like watch one episode of this, then one episode of that, then 3 episodes of this, then 4 episodes
I
of that.
don't have
That's what
time.
it's feeling like. I don't have time for this. Like when I went to go see Infinity War, my
Yes.
friend. This is gonna sound dated, but to be fair, Infinity War came out when. Infinity War came out in 2018, so Infinity War only came out 6 years ago.
Real? I am old.
I know, but still, but here, this is why it's gonna sound dated. But I need to preface this only happened in 2018.
Yeah.
My best friend won midnight movie like midnight release tickets to Infinity War through a radio contest.
Now I really feel old. We still did those in 2018?
Apparently, she was on her way to work and she just heard it, and so she entered and she won. But so that we went to go see Infinity War, and I had seen a movie here, a movie there. I think I had seen I'd seen the Avengers, I'd seen one of the Thor movies. I hadn't seen everything up until that point. The movie theater was only about 30 minutes away. In that time, my friends were able to get me caught up on all relevant plot points that I had missed. You couldn't do that now. If I was going to go to see a midnight movie of something that was going to be a Marvel movie, there's too much stuff that I need to know as background if I haven't been keeping up.
Yeah. I had a friend who had never seen them, and around the time Endgame, like right after Endgame came out, and they were like, oh, I'd love to watch all this. And I was like, here's your viewing schedule. We can do it in this amount of time if we did one movie night a week. You can just watch one movie a week and finally understand and catch up before the next phase started. They never did it because they got bored. But now, can you imagine starting from the beginning of Marvel now?
During lockdown, I did ask my friend. I asked her for if I was going to watch the movies in chronological order. And back then, lockdown, I think the only TV shows we had up until that point might have been WandaVision and
Loki.
And Loki hadn't started yet. It was WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Oh, I forgot about that one.
Shows that were out. Those were the only TV shows that were out at that point.
There's so many.
She gave me a chronological list of how to watch the movies. I think I only made it to Iron Man 2.
Which is 3 movies in.
I didn't even make it to Avengers, and I've seen Avengers.
Yeah. Avengers was good, though. We had
It's a good movie.
My problem is Marvel makes great content. They have made amazing movies.
They're just making too much, and they're not quality checking. They're just figuring this is a franchise that has fans. This is a franchise that has fans, and they're just throwing everything at the wall and seeing what'll stick.
But they're also not listening to their fans.
Some of the shows.
They're not listening to their fans.
That's true.
They came out saying recently that they were going to start focusing more on quality over quantity. They said that because enough of us were complaining of hey, there's too much. There's too much, and it's not good. We want good stuff. We want the good stuff. Because who wants to sit through a show that's boring? The one show that I cannot sit through is, oh God, what's it called? See, there's so many. I'm now wait a minute. I have to figure out what this is called. Secret Invasion.
Oh, that's the one that has Olivia Colman in it, right?
Yes. We watched one episode. We can't get through it. It's so boring. The premise is the problem is, you can keep the distance in if you want to. I understand if you don't want to, but Marvel has also gotten a little problematic with they're not paying their people who make their CGI well enough. They're wanting to bust all these things out, and those people in graphics, that's why the graphics aren't as good as they used to be, is because they're busting them out so quickly. It's not the people on making the graphics; it's the people paying them.
Yeah, exactly.
They've also moved on. They had to change the title of one of the newer movies, the next Captain America movie, because it was seen as anti-Semitic. Maybe don't call your next movie a New World Order.
Ooh.
Yes, so they had to change it.
Oh no.
So with you add in all the different things with the MCU of there's too much, you can't keep up, you've got to watch 15 different things to understand a movie. They're canceling some of the movies that I thought were great because they're no longer going to move forward with Eternals, which I was one of the people that loved Eternals. I thought it was actually really great. that is not a common opinion within the MCU fandom. A lot of people do not like Eternals.
Yeah, I can see why.
But they're making these decisions that a lot of fans are just like, this is the opposite of what your fan base wants. But great.
They're somehow following in the path of DC, which I don't entirely know why they thought that was a good idea, because this is my thing with the DC shows. I loved Supergirl. I was watching Supergirl for the first couple seasons. I thought it was really well done. I really enjoyed it. I had no desire to watch The Flash or Green Arrow.
Yeah.
Just didn't care. And every once in a while in the first season, there was like one crossover episode, but you didn't need to watch it. You didn't need to watch the other episodes to understand what was going on.
Oh, so it's not a Station 19 Grey's Anatomy situation?
Well, here's the thing: is it started out as these crossover episodes. Each show is going to have their own thing, but you don't really need to have watched all of them to figure it out. After about season 2 or 3, that stopped being the case, because not only if you didn't watch the episodes, did you not know what was happening in that episode, and you didn't know what was going on going forward.
Oh, goodness.
So you then had to start watching basically everything to understand. So I stopped watching because I didn't care for the other shows. Grey's Anatomy, Station 19 is the same kind of thing of like, when they had private practice, they had mastered the art of the crossover episode, but it's still being contained, the crossover event, but still being contained in each show. You didn't have to have watched private practice to understand what was going on in the Grey's Anatomy episode. You probably would want to watch the Grey's Anatomy episode if you're watching private practice, because that's kind of the conclusion of the story. But ultimately, you don't need to have watched them both. But now with Station 19 and everything else that they're doing all the crossovers with on Grey's Anatomy, if you don't watch both shows, you have no idea what's going on in the rest of the show. And to be fair, I haven't watched Grey's Anatomy since, let's find out when I stopped watching. Because I can tell you exactly when I stopped watching.
Yeah. That we stopped watching Grey's Anatomy at the crossover. Like, when every time we turned around, they'd be like, oh, the Station 19 and Grey's Anatomy season premiere. And me and my husband are like, wait a minute, are you telling us we have to watch another 40-minute show to be able to understand what's happening in the show that we've been watching for years? Because Grey's Anatomy is old as hell.
Yeah, I stopped watching Grey's Anatomy in 2016 after the season 12 finale, because that was Sara Ramirez's last episode.
I don't blame you. I feel like I should have given up far sooner, but apparently, obviously, I went up until they started doing the Station 19 crap. Now Meredith's not even there, so I'm like, why are we still making this show?
I don't know.
I want to come back sometimes. Like, it's almost a comfort show, but it's like one of those shows you need to watch sometimes if you just haven't had a good cry in a while. Just put on Grey's Anatomy. You'll get to a point you'll cry. That's another thing, though, is like Grey's Anatomy, though, is still one of those shows getting their 40 minutes. They're getting a shit ton of episodes. But everything ties in together now. So you can't even just go, I'm going to go sit down every week and watch my show, because I have to go watch 2 other things before I can. And it's exhausting.
It then turns the storyline into what was 42 minutes of TV into 3 hours, which people just not everyone wants to sit and watch Has Been No Tell every day. I'm sorry. They might want to, but you shouldn't have to, is my thing. Is you shouldn't have to sit down and watch 3 hours, or like at least an hour and a half episode, or 2 40-minute episodes of 2 different shows.
Yeah.
Just understand what's going on with the characters that you like. And it's a lot of it is the studios throwing their money at the things that are proven to make money, unfortunately, which means there isn't enough room for the new shows and the new concepts. Because, and again, all of their data is so skewed now because, like, oh, well, this is what's working and people are watching it. Like, people are watching it because this is the only option.
Yeah, we don't have anything really else to do. Especially, it makes me think of how like a lot of things get canceled so quickly too. It's also going to be skewed, because if you take Netflix, the best example of it, you start a show, you're like, oh my god, this is actually really good. Netflix has had some great shows. You finish the show, you're like ready for season 2. You're all gunned up, like everybody's so excited, they cancel it.
Yeah,
you'll get 2, maybe 3 seasons in, but because of the shorter writing style, because now we've got shorter seasons. There's no filler episodes. There is no extra to watch. You watch it, you got that full storyline. But the thing is, though, when you have these shorter seasons, sometimes those storylines don't get finished.
Exactly.
And the next thing you know, you've like been really invested in a show, and then it gets canceled 2 seasons in. And you're like, but we didn't finish this thing, because they don't give time to finish it. We're not even finishing storylines within seasons of shows. And it makes our job hard, because
it does make our job hard.
Well, this is what we do. We talk about TV. We talk about media. We're going to be talking like this kind of includes movies, because even like movie, like, well, when you add in the movies of like the Marvel universe, you have to watch 15 shows to understand the storyline of a movie. Like, it's ridiculous.
Exactly. It's too much. And like this the shortened writing style, it really is to the detriment of the shows and the viewers
Mm-hmm.
because all of these shows, especially if it's like an 8 episode season that all gets dropped at once, right? Like the way that the old schedule was that you had 22 episodes spread out between late September to early May. You had 2.5 months of break and then you were back in with the show. It was 1 year from start of season to start of
Mm-hmm.
season. Now it's 1 year from now it's 1 year from whole season basically. So it's 1 year from end of season to start of next season at minimum.
Unless you're a
So you
Stranger
have
Things fan.
unless you're Stranger Things, then it's who knows how long until each season.
Right.
But it's at minimum 1 year until these things. Most often, I think it's 2 years at this point. Like House of the Dragon is 2 years between the end of the season of last season and the start of this upcoming one.
Mm-hmm.
You lose fans in that time because the show isn't fresh in their mind, and the shows are so plot heavy, which is not a bad thing. If a show is designed to be plot heavy, it's designed to tell a story. That's character driven TV doesn't always work unless it's I feel like sitcom does better for character driven TV because it's not so focused
Yeah.
on an overarching plot. But for plot driven TV, where you like you said, you have no filler episodes, it is one episode, one right after the other, a plot, and then nothing for a year, 18 months, 2 years, 3 years, however long it takes. People get so invested for a short amount of time. Our attention spans are not very big. You need to bank on that intensity and how often and like how into it the people are. And studios like, oh, they'll still be here in 2 years. No, actually they won't. In 2 years they'll have completely forgotten about your show, even though they were so excited about it 18 months ago.
Yep.
There's too much out there now.
The only thing that seems to work for, that I will say, is your fantasy fans.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're used to that. We're used to things taking time. Because if you look at Amazon, they're doing both Rings of Power and Wheel of Time. Both very long. Like, they're going to be long. They are alternating the years that they come out. So, like...
But that's smart.
That's smart. But it's also fantasy. I have to admit, like we will sit down and watch 9 hours of extended Lord of the Rings, and that's not enough for us. So, like,
yeah, it couldn't be me.
I can sit and watch Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, all the things forever. But like, we're used to things taking a long time because our books take forever too. And I don't know much about like House of the Dragon or Game of Thrones. I don't know enough.
Yeah, that one, I'm assuming the fan... I'm going to go back to watch it because I'm interested to see how it goes. Yeah. I cannot speak. I can say Game of Thrones was about every year, I would say, when Game of Thrones was coming out. But House of the Dragon, I think it's been 2 years since the last season. I'll keep watching it.
CGI, man. If you want good CGI, it takes time.
But then there's really no excuse for why Bridgerton is once every 2 years.
Wait, Bridgerton is once every 2 years?
They did the Queen Charlotte spinoff last year to kind of bridge the gap. But like for main seasons of Bridgerton, I do believe season 1 came out, maybe like season 1 came out in like 2019, 2020.
I never finished.
It's okay. You don't have to. I'm excited for next season. I'm excited to see how it goes. Like, I think it's a well-written show. I think it does really well. I do see a lot of people's comments about like comparing the actors who play Colin and Penelope, who are the main couple for this upcoming season, versus how like the actors for the other couples acted during their interviews. They're like, oh, this, I'm like, but the chemistry, like, oh, this is saying something. I'm like, these two were friends for 5 years because they've been on the show the entire time. The other couples just met that season. Yes, they're going to act differently.
They're good friends that, you know, it makes me think of how we've talked about how some actors have that really great relationship together. You could almost think that something may have happened between the two of them. They're just that close. I see them as that, like all the stuff I have seen. I'm like, they are just very, very close. That's like if you and I, as really good friends, did a scene somewhere, but we had to be like implicit with one another. Like, would we laugh endlessly? Most likely,
absolutely,
but
absolutely.
It's just that kind of friendship, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I can see myself doing that with like you and friends, like having to do something like that. And it end up being just fucking hilarious, but you can take but you understand it's like serious at the same time. I'm sure you see enough of that in your behind the scenes and all your once upon a time stuff that you talk about. Like,
oh, definitely.
That's how I see the two of them, though.
Again, I know well, this is the season 6 blooper. We'll get to it eventually.
I can't wait.
There's one. It's a very serious scene. I don't know what these two were doing in the background. I don't actually know exactly what they were doing. I don't know why they were doing it. But at one point, a blooper is panning from like people looking very serious to Lana and Bex humping in the background for. I don't know why, but I made a GIF of that. I posted it on Twitter, and I was like, I feel like we need an explanation for this. And Rebecca Mader did. I wish I could find the reply again, but I can't find it. She did reply with, "No, you don't."
Oh no.
To be fair, we don't actually need an explanation. That's just their relationship. They were just bored.
I feel like we don't get it as much as like behind the scenes stuff now too, though, because the show is it's so short. There's not enough time to get the fun.
There's also nowhere for it to go. Like unless the streaming service, the network, whatever, has a YouTube channel to put these behind the scenes features. All the behind the scenes features were on the DVDs.
Yep.
Like there was a place for them to go, these blooper reels, all these other things. So you're kind of at the mercy now of like Netflix deciding to post a blooper reel or Max deciding to have like a special features section.
And like Disney,
on the
Disney
show.
will post MCU behind the scenes. They do that a lot. They have a lot of behind the scenes stuff on Disney. They do actually post that, but so much of it's just about the making, it's interviews. There's not enough bloopers. I need the bloopers.
There's not enough blooper reels. I will say this. I'm sure there's like a licensing reason. I'm sure there's a licensing reason why they don't release this, but I am not the blooper reel, but I'm saying I'm sure there's a licensing reason behind why they don't release the audio commentary tracks for things that at least previously had audio commentary. Mm-hmm. Because this is my thing of like, you already have an audio track options for different languages if there's like a show has been dubbed in different languages. Especially for shows that had DVDs that had audio commentary and all these other things. Why they just don't make like English with audio commentary and audio track option. I'm sure there is some kind of reason. They probably have to pay the actors again, is my guess.
Yeah.
And they probably don't want to. But like someone has these files somewhere in the Disney archives. So like, why don't we just release them?
It makes me think of when Barbie came out on HBO. Mm-hmm. They released the theatrical. They released the one with American Sign Language, the ASL interpreter, and they released the one with the commentary. I literally watched the Barbie movie, and then the next day, because I really enjoyed it, watched the commentary, because it's Greta Gerwig.
Yeah.
Doing the director's commentary. And it was I'm so happy I did. I learned so much about the movie. But like,
exactly.
I think it's almost like they think that we don't want to know behind the scenes. We don't want to know how things are made. We don't want to know how the experience was. And it's like, but we do. So many of us really want to be able to sit back and like listen to the actors or the director talk about the making of the show.
Mm-hmm. If they didn't think there was a market for it, they never would have started it as something to be added on to begin with. So I really don't know why they're not including it, other than my guess is they would just have to pay the people that are in there in the audio commentaries or in these behind the scenes things certain fees, would be my guess. Is the only reason why these things aren't being released, because it's like it's a digital licensing. Like the DVD thing is they attach the file to the DVD and that's it. But now every time someone streams something that's being put into a bank where they have to pay out, would be my guess.
Look, I would take director's commentary over like so many of the favorite things that I've ever watched over another Zack Snyder cut of anything. Please, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I'm good. So I do have a question for you, because we were talking about gatekeeping before, like a long time ago. So not to gatekeep you being a oncer, but I have some questions, some qualifying questions to see if you can in fact call yourself a oncer.
Oh shit. Okay.
Do you have a favorite character so far?
Yes.
Who is your favorite character?
Hook.
Wait, Hook has overtaken Leroy?
Yes.
Oh my! I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting you to say Leroy. Okay, Hook has overtaken Leroy. This is an interesting development.
Hook has overtaken Leroy. Leroy still has a place in my heart, but
okay, so interesting. So I'm interested to see everything about Hook going forward. Okay, is there some random arbitrary thing about the show that you're upset about for no particular reason?
When you say arbitrary,
like it has nothing to do with the plot, but you're mad about it anyway.
Okay. Ooh. I mean, I guess technically the like background story of Beauty and the Beast, doesn't technically mean too much to the plot if you think about it.
Fair.
But I will forever be angry about it.
I would also have accepted just why are there eggs. I would have also accepted
that as well.
Answer.
Oh god,
that is also
you have to remind me of the eggs always. Oh.
Why are there eggs?
But no, like, because I do like that they're doing all the different storytelling, and we're getting a lot of these fairy tales. It's very fun reimagining them. Not this one. Mm-hmm. I will not accept this Beauty and the Beast. I'm sorry.
That is fair.
It's not happening.
And so far, what is your favorite non-canon ship?
Spoon Queen. It is forever Spoon Queen.
Honestly, that alone, yes, you can call yourself a oncer at this point.
Is it Spoon Queen alone?
I was expecting you to say Red Beauty, which is also an acceptable answer, but yes, Spoon Queen. The fact that, I mean, to be fair, I had to tell you about Spoon Queen, but it's the fact that Spoon Queen was your answer without thinking. Absolutely,
no
yes.
hesitation.
No hesitation, Spoon Queen.
I do love Red Beauty, don't get me wrong, but there's something about Spoon Queen.
There's something about Lana and an inanimate object.
Honestly. I really didn't hesitate on that one, did I? Damn.
No, you didn't. Okay, so despite the fact, then this is now just me asking you questions, and we'll probably close this out soon. So despite the fact that you don't like how they handle Beauty and the Beast, so what would you say is your favorite episode then that you've seen so far? Because for context, I mean, to be fair, y'all have listened to. If you're listening to this the week that it goes out, she's watched up until 2:13.
Yes. So. Okay.
Ooh. So because I think last time I asked you for season 1 what your favorite episode was, and you did say Skin Deep.
Apparently, I really loved the cricket game.
That's fair. That's a good episode.
That was my other 30.
Yeah.
I'm going based off that because like everything's kind of melded together now.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, if you want to just sort it by your scores, because you gave Skin Deep a 30 and you gave Heart of Darkness a 30, or Red Handed.
I want to say Heart of Darkness was a 30. Yep, it was Heart of Darkness.
Heart of Darkness, okay.
And then I have I don't have any 29s. They only go up to like 28s.
So I feel like it's in order to get a 29, you have to give only one there's no combination of numbers that isn't 10, 10, 9.
Yeah.
It's hard to give that as a score in our system.
I did like Queen of Hearts as well, though. So
Queen of Hearts is a good episode.
Cricket Game and Queen of Hearts were really good. Yeah. I have a feeling I'm going to really enjoy Manhattan. That's all I'm going to say.
I think Manhattan is going to make you yell at me.
Oh my God. How many times are you going to make me yell at you?
The rest of the show, basically.
Okay, that's fair.
Pretty much. Yeah, that's accurate. But I think you're gonna like Manhattan. I think you're gonna really like. I think you're gonna be interested in The Miller's Daughter. That one might also make you yell at me. You're really gonna like Lacey, I think. At least most of it.
That's fair. But I get to ask the same of you though. Like I need those same questions answered for Bob's.
My favorite my favorite character. Ooh, that's hard. I think it's still Linda.
Still Linda.
I haven't said that. I think it's still Linda. She's still up there. My favorite arbitrary thing that has nothing to do with the plot is I hate when they only show us half of a burger.
How did I know? I knew it'd be the damn burgers.
It's always because why put a burger in it if you're not going to show the whole frame? That's my question. Dude, just don't show us anything.
It's so funny though with having you do this now though, because now every time I watch Bob's Burgers, I just have in the background of my head of like, Lauren's gonna hate this. Lauren's gonna love this. Oh wait, what's that burger? Oh my God, I have to pay more attention to puns. Like I don't watch the same way I did before.
No, neither do I anymore. Oh, my I mean, there aren't that many non-canon ships for Bob's.
Yeah, they're all pretty much canon because it's Bob's Burgers.
Pretty much. Would Bob and his grill be considered a non-canon ship?
I mean, I don't think so. He's pretty personal with the grill.
Yeah.
You could. Okay. What are you most excited for in Bob's? Like, if you were to look at season 5, out of those titles,
let me pull up the spreadsheet.
If you look at just season 5 alone, what episode just goes, what the hell, or what are you going to enjoy? Whatever you want to go with.
Okay, season 5. Itty Bitty Ditty Committee?
Oh yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Itty Bitty Ditty Committee.
Itty Bitty Ditty Committee. That's the one I'm like, what am I about to be watching?
I can't wait for you to get to the Gale Tales.
Oh, that sounds like fun. Gale is one. She snuck up on me. I wasn't entirely expecting to like her as much.
Okay, so one last question.
Yes.
We, of course, focus on Once Upon a Time and Bob's Burgers, but if there was any other show that you could get me to watch, what would it be?
I think I've said this before. The L Word.
I still need to watch that.
You do? It's, because that's one that, like, it hasn't aged well, and it continues to not age well.
I'm sitting here like, okay, we've got how many more years of this, and then Lauren can make me watch that. How much worse will it be?
Oh, it'll be so much worse by then.
Thank you all for listening. Join us next time to talk more about all things Once Upon a Time and Bob's Burgers. Don't forget to like, rate, and follow the podcast wherever you listen so you can be notified every time we publish a new episode. Follow us at OBDYK_pod on Instagram and TikTok. And if you'd like to join our new book club, you can find the link with more details in our show notes.
This has been an episode of Okay, But Did You Know? A TV and media podcast. It was hosted by Lauren and Katie and edited by Lauren.